165. You got a good number.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
I think then we are good to start.
Yeah.
Yeah? Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, Kumar. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome everybody. Next slide, Melroy. Yes. At Don Bosco, we continue with the legacy of Saint John Bosco for the betterment and education of all. Next slide. On behalf of the management, faculty, and staff at Don Bosco College of Hospitality Studies, I welcome everyone today on our webinar. Our topic of discussion today is Cloud Kitchen. And who better than Mr. Kumar Katra, founder and CEO of Cloud Kitchen. He is a food enthusiast. He has been fortunate to have traveled the length and the breadth of our country. And at present, he is in Singapore for over the last 14 years. He believes that sharing economy is the future of the food and beverage industry. And that's where the launch of cloudkitch.co.in happened. Food for the future, sustainability, food wastage are areas that cause concern to Kumar. In his own words, food is emotion, food is fun, food is healing, and food is health. Thank you very much, Kumar. It is an honor to have you with us today.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
Thank you. Miss Annabelle Rodrigues, Head of Department, Don Bosco College of Hospitality Studies. Let me describe ma'am to you in very simple words. Her actions inspire her students and her colleagues to dream big, to dream more, to learn more, to be more, and to become more. She hopes to leave a legacy of students that embrace every opportunity and fulfill their potential and beyond. She is an effective role model for all of us. Ma'am Annabelle, may I now request you to inaugurate our webinar, please?
Thank you so much. Thank you first to Mr. Kumar Katra for taking the time out. This is going to be a pivotal webinar for our students because this is where we meet the crossroads of our industry during COVID, and it is the way forward. I thank you for enlightening us about this. I know it's going to be a wonderful interactive webinar because whenever Meher ma'am takes on a project, she makes sure every stone is unturned. There's nothing left that we will be in want of when we are done. I would like to thank Meher ma'am. Meher always introduces everyone, but to all the students and to all the people who are joining us today, I was very glad to have met Meher ma'am at the beginning of my career when we were teaching together at HAF. Ma'am was the executive chef of RTI, and I stole her away and begged her to come and join us at HAF. And then she went on to work with the Taj, came back to HAF and brought it to its absolute glory. Then went on to be an entrepreneur. Then went on to be the only lady in charge of the food bank in all of Asia. You know, Don Bosco has a way of bringing people back to us. And the moment she came back to Bombay, I made sure I met her the very first evening that she was back. And I've been so fortunate to call Meher as a colleague and know that because of her, Don Bosco is going to grow in leaps and bounds.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Katra. I really look forward to this. I moved back to this country in 2007 and had met this strange company called Fasos, and was wondering what it was all about. And over the years, I just heard the buzz in the background. It's funny how it takes a pandemic to suddenly springfield us into realizing this is it. This is where we are headed. We better get to know this industry very well and use it to the best of our ability. And before I start with the webinar, I'd like to also welcome Chef Satish Arora is also joining us today just to visit, and we are so glad. Thank you so much, Chef. It's always an honor to have you visit us. Thank you. Thank you, Meher. Thank you, Kumar.
Thank you, Annabelle, and welcome, Chef Satish.
Thank you.
Kumar,
Thank you, Meher, madam.
Hi, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's honor. It's honor.
Thank you. Kumar, would you like to make an opening statement for our viewers?
Sure, I am very, very delighted to be invited to this webinar and honored to be with you, grooming the future of our industry and of our country. So I'm going to contribute a little today, and I hope to make an impact to these students. But very delighted to see all of you together here.
Thank you.
And honored to have Chef Arora on the show. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So these days, we store our photographs, we stream our movies, and we even run our businesses in the cloud. More often and often, whether we realize it or not, we're also ordering our food on the cloud. These commissary kitchens, also known as shared kitchens and virtual kitchens, with delivery-only food brands operating within them, are called virtual restaurants. Maybe you're thinking, this is nothing new, and maybe you're right. Restaurants have been making the most of delivery for decades. The pizza and the burger industry has been operating a delivery-only model or a delivery and model and optimizing their entire business on that. But moving to a delivery-only model has been made possible only thanks to the advances in technology and the changes in consumer habits. Being able to adapt, to change, is the need of the hour. And understanding how a cloud kitchen differs from a normal restaurant is where our discussion on the mystique of cloud kitchens begins today. Kumar, I'm going to walk straight into the first question with you. Do you see cloud kitchens as just a main kitchen for takeaways, or is that how we are reading it? What exactly defines a cloud kitchen? Help us picture this, please.
Sure. It's an interesting question. It's a long question. I mean, short question, and I have a long answer to that. So essentially, cloud kitchen is nothing but a restaurant. It's a virtual space for a consumer to order a meal from or a snack from and get delivered to wherever their destination is, whether it is at home or at work. Why do we call them cloud kitchens? It's an important point. Like you said, delivery is not new. Delivery has been, delivery of food has been in existence forever. How it has changed the way we deliver or the way we order makes it a cloud kitchen. So if I'm a consumer, I want to order a meal, I have two choices, or rather three. Either I have a phone and I call, or I use a laptop and order on a website, or I use an app, download an app. If I'm a regular user, I would download an app and order my food. So the moment I order my food, it's about convenience, right? So easiest way today is to order on app. The order hits the cloud, which is the technology. From technology, it goes to the kitchen or the restaurant. And from there, it gets prepared and dispatched. So it's as simple as that. The only difference here is that the entire piece of conversation between a consumer and a restaurant is happening on technology. There is no face-to-face conversation, and there is no way to understand whether a consumer is regular consumer unless you have technology behind it. So if I was to call a restaurant regularly, I know that this customer is Mr. Sandhi is ordering from me. I know the number, I recognize the number, I recognize the voice. On this technology, the only way to recognize is that if you put a CRM program behind it. Okay, so otherwise, it's an exponential platform for a delivery business. That's how it works.
Thank you, thank you. So, Kumar, walk us through how did this trend as a trend really begin? Why did it? And what is behind this concept?
Sure. Actually, to answer that question, I want to pull up a deck. And there are some important statistics because we have students on the call. I want to show them some research data points.
Excellent.
And it will be useful for all of them to go back and do the research for their own selves.
Great, great.
Okay, in a second. Okay, are you able to see my screen now?
Melroy, could you please help? I'm not able to see the screen. I'm not sure if anybody else can.
No, ma'am. Even I can't.
Okay, you should be able to see it now.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, there
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
Okay, so just quickly to answer your question, from the previous question, let me take it one step back. Essentially, cloud kitchens are a virtual kitchen. You don't see a front end of a restaurant, but there is no seating space, but there is a kitchen and there are chefs working in the kitchen. So just imagine that if you were to go to a mall and walk into a food court with 4 friends or 4 family members, you see multiple restaurants, and each of your family members goes to a different place. They buy a meal. So one is picking up a dosa, other one is picking up a pizza, the 4th one is picking up a burger and then naan probably, and all of you bring it together and eat on the same table. So virtual food court or virtual restaurant is exactly the same. You're in a position to order on your app or your phone or your website and get the food delivered at the same time. So here at Cloud Kitch, really what we offer is the best brands. We have 6 kitchens at BKC, and the best restaurants work together to deliver a great consumer experience. This is where it becomes interesting. Meher, your question was, how did this trend start?
That's right.
Right. So just imagine if you go back a few years, you would realize that in Mumbai we had black and yellow taxis, and after some time you found Meru taxis and cabs, which were the radio taxis, and then you start seeing Uber and Ola right now. So when you see that there has been a transition of how we were using our transport mechanism, you will see that technology has played a great role in taking it to the different level. Now, why do we call it a sharing economy? So if you look at the taxi equation, here you have a taxi driver or rather an owner of a car who wants to earn some money, and he wants to drive a couple of passengers every day and make some money there. So he's getting his vehicle and himself into the business. Then there is a technology company who's bringing in a platform or a technology or an app to connect a passenger to a driver. So you see now from one stakeholder, there are three stakeholders, and all three stakeholders are making money or in some form contributing to the economy. That is what sharing economy is all about. Now, if I take you one step further, most of us must have used Uber Share or Ola Share. Now you see the economy is even further sharing. So earlier, Mr. Sandhi and Mr. Kumar wanted to go from our home to Don Bosco Institute. We would, rent our own taxi, or we would hail our own taxi. But now we are in a position to share a taxi and share the cost. So the point is, the more you share, the more economy benefits a lot of people. And this is a trend which is going to happen. So similarly, in the food business, earlier what used to happen is I had a restaurant and I needed a customer. So I would advertise in a newspaper or a flyer in the neighborhood or a banner. But today I have options of marketing on social media, marketing offline, doing blogs. So that's the way I bring in a customer. But out of 100,000 or 1 lakh restaurants in my city, how does each one of them get access to customers? And that is what the platforms, F&B discovery platforms such as Zomato, Swiggy, Dine Out, Easy Diner, and so on and so forth. They have done, they've created a discovery platform just like Google would have done for any and every subject. They've specialized in food and beverage. That's where the sharing economy point begins for you. Meher?
Yes, thank you. That was really good.
Great. So if you look at this slide, you will realize that the sharing economy is or has disrupted so far $6 trillion worth of economy. And it is going to completely change the way we consume. Think of anything, think of anything you want to buy today, you can buy it on your phone. Think of anything that you want to consume today, you can consume it on phone. Whether it is music, whether it is insurance, whether it is taxi or food, or think of anything, and all that is functioning on shared economy models. And all it is doing is bringing the demand to the supply channel. So economics, it's building the economy for all the stakeholders in the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So over to you, Meher. If you want me to take you through the question further, I can, or if you have.
Kumar, if you have a couple of more slides, please go through them because they are very interesting. And, I'd like to go through it and then maybe we'll continue with our question answer.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, yes.
So what is important? Why is this behavior changing? Must realize, okay, so today, if, in 1996, 97, when there was a mobile phone launched in India, it was beyond reach from most common people. A telephone device itself would cost 1 lakh rupees, which was a primitive old Nokia hand phone. And to make a call, you would spend 16 rupees per minute. If somebody called you, you would pay 16 rupees. Now, look at how it has changed. Today in 2020, you just go to any of the internet service providers or any phone service company, and you can buy, unlimited data, unlimited phone calls for 199 rupees, right? So you can see the shift. The entire consumption is happening on internet, no longer on voice, it's on internet. What that has done is that it has connected more and more people. So you see in 2015, there were 220 million people connected on internet. 2019, there are 440. In just a matter of 4 years, the internet penetration has doubled. The subscribers in India have doubled. And I can assure you, if you look at it in 2021, this 440 would probably be a double ratio. So first time it took 5 years, now it's going to take 2 years to double that consumption. If you just look at the rural India, in 2015, we had 112 million people, and today it's double number in 2019. What's also changed is that if you look at 1996, it was the most, most male members in the family had a phone, and only the working women had phones. But today there is nobody, including grandfathers and grandmothers, everybody has a phone. So the way we utilize a device is no longer a phone. We utilize it for any kind of consumption, any kind of buying habit, any kind of information, and that's why it is changing. So interesting insights for you to see how the patterns or how the penetration of internet is changing the way business behaviors are changing.
Absolutely.
Now, this is very, very interesting slide. I'll take a little bit more time on it because it is connected to food and beverage industry. So, about 15 years, 20 years back, if any of us wanted to start a restaurant, you must have money in your pocket to start a restaurant. Okay. If you didn't have money, you would go to a bank with a business plan. And 99% of the times, a bank would refuse to fund a restaurant business. This is 20 years back. Anybody who has memories of that time, look at it. Okay, from 10 years back, there were companies or venture capital who got interested in food and beverage business. And they started investing into food and beverage business. Very, very interesting times in 2007-8. There were a few large chains. They started getting funding, and they also got listed. It didn't happen for, very few restaurant chains were ever listed before, 20 years back. If you go back and check on, the business, any of the stock exchanges, you'll be able to find that. Now, 2013 saw a huge change in the food and beverage business. Okay, and why did we see that change? Purely because food and beverage business got connected to technology, and technology is an enabler of exponential growth. So simple as that. Most of the startups are related to technology. Technology attracts investment. Now this investment has allowed the food and beverage business to start seeing investment into it. Just in between 2013 and 2020, India food and beverage businesses have received over $3 billion in funding. That's a remarkable change for how our business is changing. Okay. Just the two players, Swiggy and Zomato, collectively, they are valued at $8 billion. Their market cap is $8 billion. Okay. We are talking of, there are so many more which are in the making, emerging, but just two have been able to, they have done a remarkable job of being valued at $8 billion.
Excellent. This data is excellent. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, Kumar.
Pleasure. Absolutely. So what is what is happening on this business? You have to understand that, right? So the Indian economy, okay, if you look at the Indian population, today 50% of the population is millennials, okay? And in next 30 years, you will see that the population gets to 60 to 65% of the population will be millennials. Ms. Dasandi, Ms. Annabelle, myself, we are completely out of that category, I'm sorry. But the millennials are consuming internet and have a completely different lifestyle. Today, we believe that most of the consumption happens at brick and mortar shops, at the malls, etc. But the reality is that's going to change. Okay, it's going to change. Why? Because people do not have the time. They are very ambitious. The youngsters are a completely differently driven. Um, Most of the millennials that I've known or I have worked with, they want to be, ambitious, and they want to live on their own. They want to start earning very quickly. So most millennials, they start very early and they start earning quite early. The moment they start earning, they want to be on their own. And once they are on their own, at that point of time, they want to see that there is a dependence on their own resources. The moment they have dependence on their own resources, they would start driving more and more for themselves. They want to buy a house, they want to buy a car, they want to experience international travel, and all that is happening because the population of millennials is growing, not just in India, but in many emerging countries. The more millennials you have, and because they are so ambitious, because they want to earn quickly and they want to grow quickly, they do not have the time to start cooking for themselves. And that's when they consume from outside. If a average family is consuming, let's say, outside of home 2 to 3 times a week, a millennial is consuming almost 5 to 6 times a week. That's a national average in India. So just let's look at some economics, behavioral economics online. So as a restaurant owner or as a kitchen entrepreneur, when you have a restaurant brand on high street, typically what happens is that the nearby population is able to see a restaurant. They look at the color, look at the population inside, they look at the menu. They're able to browse a restaurant and make a decision if they want to get inside and experience a meal and spend at that restaurant. That's a typical behavior with a neighborhood place. Then there are chain of restaurants. If you see a restaurant at multiple locations, then that's when you say, okay, I recognize this brand. And because it is at multiple locations, they are consistent. They have a process. They are, quite familiar. So whenever I see a restaurant which is familiar, I would try to step in and consume at the same experience. Now, what changes on internet or virtual restaurants is quite dramatic. Here now, at your seat, you're in a position to browse over 50,000 restaurants. They don't happen to be in your neighborhood. They happen to be 7 to 10 kilometers away from you. But you're able to deliver. I mean, you're able to order a meal and you get a delivery. And you get a delivery in 30 minutes. So would you want to travel or would you want to order? Now, if you take a step back, you look at the likes of Netflix and Amazon and any kind of, TV channel, cable TV, etc. What it has also done is that it is giving you entertainment at home. You've got a ordering, let's say you want to buy apparel or you want to buy some groceries, there is ordering happening online for e-commerce. And again, if you're used to ordering online, then restaurant becomes a natural trend, or rather food becomes a natural habit to order online. So why would I, when I'm searching for a shirt online and I'm looking at 20 shops, I might as well look for a burger online, although there is a choice of a neighborhood restaurant, but why can't I try something which is 10 kilometers down the road? I heard it from my friend. So what it is doing is that it is changing the way you start thinking. So in that context, what is important is that your menu is differentiated, your food is popular, your menu is not the same as a neighborhood store. Because I want to experiment, I want to go further away. That's how it works on a online platform. what is important is you have to understand that a consumer, when he's buying online, he's never able to make a decision on his own. He's making a decision based on what he sees on social media, what he's hearing from friends and families. Okay, so typically a behavior is, if I see 20 likes and if I see good reviews, then the food must be good. Okay, so the behavior is driven by family and friends and people you don't know. Okay, most of the time the people on Facebook are Facebook friends you never met. But when they tell you that the burger at that place is great, you still want to try it. So the buying behavior or behavior changes quite dramatically. Now, look at that, what has also happened is that on internet, because of the exposure, the number of restaurants, the number of outlets available, the loyalty levels have changed. In traditional days, I would go to a neighborhood restaurant, I would go to my regular restaurant, and they were called regular customers almost every meal I wanted to consume. But today, because I have thousands of restaurants, access to thousands of restaurants, I no longer have loyalty left. And why do I need that loyalty? I mean, every restaurant depends on a repeat business. And if I don't have repeat business, cost of acquiring a new customer is higher than a repeat business. So how do I manage that relationship? Should I have more repeat business or should I get new customers? In a traditional world, the answer would have been, I want, new customers, but I want more of repeat business. In a virtual world, aspiration is to have more repeat business. The reality is that you will have to acquire new customers, and to acquire new customers, you have to market more. You have to spend more. So I hope so far I've been clear with the concept and how the economics has changed and how the business trends have changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so,
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
great, thanks. So what is interesting here is that, you see, you're able to order a meal if you do not have the patience to wait for 30 minutes, but you can walk up in 10 minutes, you'll still drive through and get your meal. You can take away or you can order in. So there is a lot of flexibility there. And people like flexibility, people like choices. So that is what has made the difference in this world. Another interesting thing is that, in a millennial world, everything is, because I'm earning and I'm a new earner, I pay for myself. Even with friends, I'd like to Dutch or I'd like to share. And that's been a very typical trend even in my college days. But today it is more and more. So here, with technology, it has become so convenient that you can actually transfer money on phone from one phone to the other phone. I just need Ms. Dasondi's phone number and I can transfer money to her instantly. So it is, the flexibility of making that payment has also changed completely. So what is happening is that people do not think too much. There is a credit card, there are discounts, there are coupons, vouchers, etc. So I'm tempted to spend more. I'm tempted to spend more, and I'm tempted to earn more points because I need those points, and it gives me bragging rights to tell my friends that I am consuming so many points, or rather I have so many points, and I'm buying something else with those points. So there is if you see the entire industry now, the number of stakeholders. Okay, earlier, if you look at a traditional restaurant, there is a restaurant owner, there is a customer, and that's the extent of the economics. There are only two stakeholders, maybe few, I'm exaggerating a bit, but at the backside, there are a few more. But there are two key stakeholders in a business economics, in a traditional world. But when you look at an internet world, or virtual cloud kitchen world, can you imagine the number of stakeholders on the slide? You have a menu, you have a online platform, you have loyalty, you have marketing, you have payments, you have rewards. There's a whole lot of, and there is a CRM. So there is a whole lot of ecosystem created, and everybody is benefiting from this ecosystem. That is what is the sharing economy model.
Thank you, Kumar. That is beautiful. I mean, I think most of our students have now definitely understood exactly what you mean when you say shared economy.
Thank you. So you see that pre-COVID, I'm just going to take a little bit step back. So I spent 25 years in the food and beverage industry with hotels and restaurants and food services business. And 3 years back, I went to develop a CRM technology for restaurants. And at that time, we had about 5,000 restaurants in India, Singapore, Southeast Asia, and Middle East on the platform. Essentially, what this platform was doing was creating consumer profiles, trying to understand how consumers behave in an internet world while they're consuming food and while they're going to a restaurant. What is their behavior? How are they giving a feedback? What kind of review mechanism? How does a restaurant owner bring them back? So it was an analytics platform. It enabled a restaurant owner to understand how his business is performing from a customer perspective. Is he getting repeat business? Is he getting enough business from the same customer? Is the life cycle of a customer demanding enough or not? So there were different factors a consumer could, or rather a restaurant owner could see on the platform. And we had 30 million such consumer profiles. Now that's a huge amount of data. While I was looking at that data and trying to explain to the restaurant owners that your business is changing. And why was it changing? Because I could see it that 60% of the business was dining, 40% of the business was delivery. So most restaurant owners did not believe that their business is shifting to delivery. Everybody started saying, no, it's only temporary. People will dine in, people want to enjoy, and people will come for an experience. So interestingly, when we built the Cloud Kitch, it was towards the beginning of 2020, we were clear that the entire business, Cloud Kitchen business, is going to boom. And why is it going to boom? Step one, you have 50% of the millennial population. They have disposable income. They have aspiration to experiment, and they want to test new food. They want to try new experiences. And they are consuming a lot more than elderly, or a lot more than people of our generation. So clearly that was the reason why we launched Cloud Kitch. And COVID has proven that delivery business is a way forward. It's here to survive, not just because of the pandemic, but also because these 1 to 2 years, while all the issues around social distancing and infection control and all those issues happen, more and more people will consume food, groceries, food, everything, movies, everything online. And once that habit comes in, it's very difficult to break habits. It will take a lot of effort to, for people to say, no, I don't want to deliver now, I'll go to the restaurant. So this delivery trend is here to stay. And that is a new age career potential for the incoming students of hotel management. I mean, just imagine the 5-star hotels are delivering from their restaurants. It never happened. It all happened only after COVID. So can you see the shift? Earlier, it used to be a neighborhood store. Then it was your multiple restaurant brands, then international brands. Now you see even the 5-star hotels are delivering. So how do you say this trend is not going to go forward? It has to boom. It has to go to next stage. That's why Cloud Kitchen is becoming an important space in coming world. So that brings me to my end of my presentation. Ma'am Dasandi, over to you.
Thank you, thank you. You know, not only have you very beautifully defined the shared economy, but what I'm also convinced just as much as you that cloud kitchens seem to be the future of food delivery. So Kumar, I know you've gone through everything and you've given us some wonderful statistics to, you know, think about. What I would like you to share with us is what resources would be required to set up cloud kitchens.
So interesting. Are you able to hear me well?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a business. It's a restaurant business. The only difference is it does not have a seating space. So there are two things. Your question is about resources. I will add a little bit of skill set and capability there to that. Right? To run a business, you need clearly, is it at my end or somewhere else?
I think it's at your end, Kumar, or just a minute, just a minute. Okay,
I think it's better
yeah, I
now.
think it's now, everything's muted, yeah.
Okay. So, you know, you need a business plan, and you need a business plan which has what is your brand, what is your cuisine, what is the kind of investment you're willing to put in, how will you manage your risk. You need all of those ingredients as your resources. Then, in addition to that, if you were to set up a normal restaurant, in addition to that, what you also need some skill sets. And those skill sets are really social media marketing, understanding of how the various delivery platforms work, how to analyze customers, how to improve your delivery capabilities. Those are the 3 or 4 important things from a skill set perspective. Now, the good thing is that all this is, all these skill sets, all the capabilities are readily available. And what is even better, with the models like we have created, Cloud Kitchen, shared kitchen model, it takes away the need to have larger resources. Because it's a shared economy model, you need very little capital to start the business. You just need a great idea, experiment on a shared kitchen model, and you learn on the go. With the teams that we have, you learn the technology, the delivery mechanism, etc. It's a great way to start the business. The day you're trained and you're ready, then you scale it up faster. And what you could do is that with the capital of one restaurant, actually you could run 10. That's the huge difference in a shared economy model.
Absolutely. I think it would also be a wonderful career opportunity for students to, especially of the passed out batch or the passing out batch, to, you know, explore.
Yeah, I mean, I know that all of us who passed out from hotel management always have an aspiration to have a restaurant.
Absolutely.
And most of us, till we complete 2 or 3 decades, we do not want to enter into restaurant business because we don't have enough money. But today, because of this new shared economy model, and because of the co-working space for restaurants, you need very little money. You need hard work, and you need smart work to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Kumar, I'm sure like in every business model, there are pros and there are cons. Can you walk us through some pros and cons in case, some of the students would like to explore this as an opportunity?
Sure. Pros are very, very straightforward. One, it's a business of the future. It's a trending business, and it's here to last. That's the important piece. Any business you want to conduct, it must have audience, and that's what it is, and it's a growing audience. Two is that you must understand if you have enough capital, right? So in this case, you need very little capital. So that need is mitigated. Number two is that it has the potential to grow fastest, right? Because if your first outlet is successful, you don't need the capital to multiply. And you see that there are lots of virtual restaurants who have been able to attract high quality venture capital. Okay, even the smallest, you have two good outlets or two good brands, people love it, and you have been able to show growth, venture capital is willing to invest behind you. And today, early stage capital is really available for the students to experiment. So that's a great time to, it's a great pro for the students. Clearly, it's an opportunity to create a brand, and it could be a great brand for life. So these are 3 or 4 things important. Also, it allows you to cap your risk. In a business, risk is the most important piece. If you do not understand that, what is your, if some things don't work for you, if completely, nothing works for you, what do you do? If you start a restaurant, you'll be locked into a property for 3 years. You're going to invest heavily, and you'll not be able to sell. What do you do? So in this case, if nothing works for you, location does not work for you, something goes wrong, you have the ability to move on and start a new brand without anybody knowing that you had a brand somewhere else. That's the beauty of it. It's a virtual world. Right? And the cons are clearly that a customer never sees you. Customer always sees you virtually. So your effort to attract a customer is far more higher, okay? And there are techniques to do it. It's not that it's difficult. What customers like today is good quality, transparency. They like to understand who you are. They love your story. The moment you have a good story behind your food, they would love to try your food, right? And that's something which is solved. But the point is that you need to put in not just effort in cooking, but also effort in communicating who you are and how you're serving the food. That's a bigger piece.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And other than that, the only challenge is you're in a very competitive world, whether you're in a brick or mortar or in a virtual world, you're in a competitive space. So that's a common con for everything.
Very true. Very true. Very true. So I'm just going to come right back to the students and staffing. So in a cloud kitchen, do staff actually multitask? And how do you attract top food service talent or top brands to a cloud kitchen?
See, it depends, right? So we are a service provider. We are an infrastructure service provider, and we provide technology for sales and marketing. So we have 2 businesses within Cloud Kitchen. So if the question is related to us, we are a startup. So in any startup, everybody is required to multitask, including myself. I do HR, finance, marketing, to operations, cleaning, to everything. As a startup, you're required to do everything. There is no escape. However much experience you have, that's an important, I would say, virtue to be in a business. If you're talking of the restaurant owners or other brands, it's very interesting. When you come to a cloud kitchen, our model is shared economy. So all restaurant owners need, or the brand owners need, is kitchen and staff. They need menu, they need ingredients, and they need kitchen and staff. So everything else is shared. So we have one manager who's managing multiple restaurants, supervising quality, hygiene, food safety, all that he's doing. We have one order taker who's sitting in front of the computer. Every time there is an order coming online, he passes on the order to the kitchen, makes sure the food is packed nicely, and then dispatched. So really, it's a simple model, and all you need is 3 people get together. I want to start a restaurant today. That's all it needs.
Thank you. Okay, so we've been hearing about this do-it-yourself kits, and I think that's something a lot of restaurants are now, they have introduced it as part of their menu. Okay, it makes the food, it just makes the entire experience a little bit more interesting. Do you see that in cloud kitchens?
Yeah, I mean, cloud kitchens is all about experimenting and adding a menu or changing a menu whenever you feel like, right? So I think DIY kits is a concept which emerged about 5-6 years back in the US. And it's simply, the background to that is typically in US, when you want to buy groceries, all groceries are in big packs. It's a kilo or more. And if you are 1 or 2 people, you want to try to cook a dish, but you have to buy a kilo. Who do you feed? So that's when the DIY kits came out. They said, okay, you want to create a dish. I'm giving you exactly the ingredients you need for 2 people. So you can try the meal and there is no leftover in the dishes, right? So there is no leftover groceries. You can consume it after 1 meal. So is it here to stay? It is, interestingly. Why? Because in Indian homes, and like I said, the millennials, today they will not have cooking skills and they would not want to acquire the cooking skills, but once in a while they want to cook something and they feel like this is going to work perfectly for them. I just have exact ingredients, I have the recipe, I'll just cook that much. I don't want to learn anything more.
So besides delivery, what other services can a cloud kitchen offer?
Cloud kitchen is an interesting concept, right? So there is no definition, what can I do in a kitchen or what can I not do in a kitchen. It depends on you as an entrepreneur, how imaginative you are. Okay, I could use the cloud kitchen to be a commissary and say, okay, this is my commissary and I'm going to cut chop for multiple restaurants who are not my restaurants. Or you could say, I will use the same kitchen to create 4 brands. I will do a pizza, I would do a naan, and I would also do a South Indian from the same kitchen. That's all it matters, right? Because nobody's seeing your back end. You could also say that, no, I want to do catering from this space. I would do event catering or a party catering, right? And you could be as innovative as saying that I would create a meal studio, I would create a training studio in my cloud kitchen. I mean, there are lots of choices for one to experiment on a cloud kitchen.
Thank you, thank you. That's a lovely insight for the students, and definitely widens what we have thought the virtual kitchen is actually. So coming almost to my, one of my last questions. I know you've gone through this PPT with us, and you've shown us the statistics of how in the in the world, thanks to technology, the concept of cloud kitchens has come. So where do you see cloud kitchens as a service evolving to grow?
Mm-hmm. A simple fact that cloud kitchens are getting a lot of attention from investors. Simple fact that globally there have been multi-billion dollars. Just India has received 3 to 4 billion, no, not 4, actually more, 6 to 8 billion dollars. India has received in the last 7 years. It's just going to grow like crazy in India, or rather anywhere in the world. And why is it going to grow? Because there will be more and more specialist kitchens. There would be more and more different trends coming out of the same kitchen, right? So just like I said a couple of minutes back, it could be that I want to create a tasting studio. I'm just going to be back end for any restaurant who does not have a restaurant but is going to start something. Come use my kitchen. I'll help you create recipes. Author who's writing a book, come, I'll help you standardizing your recipes. A photographer who's trying to create images, come, I will help you create photographs and use my kitchen for that. So there is so much more utilization possible. It's just the imagination. And the more and more this imagination widens, the more and more scope for growth in this industry. Right?
Absolutely.
And just one last point I would say I probably have missed out is that, home chefs as a concept is growing. Okay. My only pessimism to that concept is that you don't know where the food is coming from. Everybody is a great cook at home, but from an industrial or a commercial perspective, it's a little bit difficult to imagine if there is enough hygiene, food safety, measures taken at home or not, and will I consume from any home? So that's another segment which is growing, and it's not going to stop. It will emerge and it will get better, but that's another segment which is also a cloud kitchen segment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ma'am Annabelle, would you like to?
Yes. I'm absolutely intrigued. I'm going to, have a conversation with you, Kumar, about few things that while we were talking about it, I had questions. So when you have one section of it, which is a service provider. The other section obviously is the space that you're renting out to a given hotelier, restaurateur, whoever. How do you vet that person? And then who is the insurance? I mean, liability insurance. Is it part of the rental fee? And is it a kind of an umbrella insurance? What kind of an insurance is that? And is it all covered when I rent the space from you?
Sure. Good question. It's a business question. So let me answer that differently. So as Cloud Kitch, we are an infrastructure provider. So all the assets that are owned by us, they are insured.
Okay.
But as a restaurant owner, like in any other place, right? If you were to build a restaurant and cook food there, you would need your own insurance because you want to protect yourself.
Right.
So you would take liability insurance, third-party liability insurance. And in today's world, insurance is the simplest thing. It costs a fraction of, costs that is hardly 0.5%, and you can cover yourself very well.
Okay. Thank you. So you do go through this whole vetting process before
Absolutely.
you?
Yes. So what we do is that, what's interesting for us, we have a set of questions, or rather we have our own process. So I can give you some techniques, what we do. So essentially, in today's world, if you were to launch a new brand, do you have the capacity to market yourself? Do you have the ability to understand that you're communicating in a virtual world? That becomes the most important piece. So if I was to go on Swiggy, Zomato and check the, if let's say Ma'am Annabelle has come to me and says, I want to launch a brand, a couple of questions would be for me to see you on Swiggy, Zomato. What is your rating? What are your reviews? Are you on Facebook? What are your Facebook reviews? Right? And, those are the hygiene factors. And then I would see what's the quality of your food. Are you able to, do something different? Is your kind of food suitable for my location? So we've done a lot of, study on which markets, what kind of food works. So there is today in analytics world, you can actually understand the food preferences. You can see that we are in Bandra Kurla complex. What are the kind of demand for online delivery happens on different medias and different platforms.
Okay, wonderful. So the many stakeholders that you have, the two people that kind of change the dynamics are obviously the delivery portal that you're using, and then the banking. So do you get tied into those loyalty programs that they offer, or are you able to negotiate with them your own loyalty programs, or do you have to take it? Because I'm with Swiggy, then I have to.
Yeah. So our platform is quite flexible. Like we said, we believe in collaboration. That's why we are in sharing economy model.
Yes.
We don't believe in saying that I'm the best and I should be doing everything. So on our platform, you can collaborate with Swiggy. You can get your orders from Swiggy, from Zomato. Amazon is coming soon.
Right.
Geo is coming soon. Bro Eats is launched. You can
Wow.
collaborate with all of them and get your
Okay.
orders from all those channels. In addition to that, you can have your own website, or you can launch yourself on our website. We have a website,
Okay.
and we're launching an app. So you
Oh,
could launch
wonderful.
on that. And there are different other ways offline sales happens. You can use
Right.
any of those channels. Now, coming to loyalty, right? So Swiggy and Zomato do not have a loyalty program, but they do
Oh,
offer a lot of discounts.
right.
As a brand, you could do your own loyalty program, or you
Okay.
could use loyalty program of CloudKitch. So both ways
Okay.
is fine.
Wonderful. I love the flexibility that you'll offer to your customers. It's amazing.
Yeah, see, ultimately we want everybody to win. The entire concept of shared economy is unless you don't make money, I don't make money.
Right. Right. Absolutely. The last, if you were to give anyone like an optimal, I go back to the blackboard when we were in college mill. For me, it was eons ago. Food cost optimal has to be at a certain percentage. Customer acquisition, is there like an optimal amount that you should be? What is the amount? What is the percentage that you should be working on?
It's a very tricky question. So, see, the business economics changes from brand to brand and
Right.
cuisine to cuisine. That's an important piece to understand.
Right.
But in today's world, if you're a brand new entrant to this market, you could have as high as 25 to 30% of your cost as marketing. I would say that at least for first 6 months, that would be the case. But slowly, you'll find that completely diminishes. And optimally, 7 to 10% is what you should forecast for marketing.
Oh, wonderful. So from what I've gathered, one of the main things that I have to get my students on, besides obviously, training them to be passionate about what they do, I think social media, even though they are on it, the value of turning it into a business tool and a business wand to get things going, I don't think most students have realized it. Uh, you know, the kitchens that you have right now, which are the brands, if you can say, have
Sure.
been more successful from the cloud kitchen?
So, look, it's a little bit difficult to say which ones have been successful. If they were not successful, they wouldn't stay with us. It's also a period where we launched in January, and
Right.
from mid-March onwards, it's been a lockdown period.
Yeah.
So it's not a great time to judge if the brands have been successful or not.
Okay.
But from a cuisine perspective, I can tell you that in this market where we are, what works the most is Indian food, continental, Mexican, and Italian. That's one category. Asian, not just Chinese, but with Thai and Japanese together, and dumplings. That works the most. Sandwiches, burgers is another category that works the most. So particularly, and of course, there is a category of confectionery and cakes, which has got, there is no restriction. I mean, even during the lockdown periods, people didn't hesitate to order for, Father's Day, Mother's Day. The cakes were the happening things.
Right. I want to
happening.
share something really unique with you. I mean, I guess I age myself. But when I was in the States and I had my own business, I was actually there at the time when email was being platformed, and there was a tiny company called Documentum right by my restaurant. And I remember the first 8 employees talking to me and telling me, oh, you got to use this. Once you use this, your business is going to multiply. And I'm thinking to myself, really? By the time that mail gets to me, my lunch rush is going to be over. And when I think back from that time to now, it's amazing where technology has reached and how blissful it is actually. And I think if all of us really embrace it, there's a lot to be said. I just, as a note, Don Bosco uses, and I have to say at 56, I'm a major Insta and Facebook, and I just don't use Twitter. And that is politics. If Trump uses it, I don't. But the idea is that it does make a big difference. Are you disheartened at any point during this period, or have you found more people coming to you during the lockdown?
See, I mean, I wouldn't say disheartened. We are always excited to, at least personally, I'm always excited, and that's why I have always been in a startup, to experiment, to give it the best shot and learn from it. That's important. Now, you could say that in Bombay, most of the restaurants are shut today, right? We stopped our business, or rather we were forced to lock down on 18th of March.
Right.
And we were brand new. As a new company, there is a lot of drain on capital if you're not running cash every day. So our choice was to put up our boots and go to sleep and say we are dead now, or our choice was to fight. And I hope some of my teammates are on this call. We chose to fight. So essentially our team went through rigorous training. We were doing 4 hours of training, skills, professional grooming. We did everything possible for 3 months.
Wonderful.
We spent hours of that. Now, also what we did was we were very agile and we were very flexible. We said, if our business is not, today, if consumers do not want continental, and if there are no online platforms working, then let's serve the migrant workers. There is a need for that. There are COVID patients at centers. There is a need for that. There is a need for essential services employees in office buildings or societies. Let's serve them. So we've been slogging. We've been delivering about 800 to 1,000 meals every day to different locations. We may not be serving the audience we were carved out for. The fact is that we didn't stop serving. Our kitchens are operating all days of the, ever since the lockdown has happened, we are still operating.
Fantastic.
That's an important point for the students to learn that, disheartened is probably not an option any longer. It has to be, you have to find ways to navigate.
Absolutely. So I'm just as a student, the two options right now I have is either I can work with the company like you, or I can rent from a cloud kitchen.
Yes.
The rental is based on days, months. What are the terms? Is it days, months, years, or is that also flexible depending upon the nature of what's going on?
So clearly, our model is based on normally what we do is we don't rent it out. We provide a minimum, pay a minimum service fee, and there is a revenue share.
Okay.
And essentially, we prefer for people to be with us for long duration. So we contract typically for a year, but then we are generally flexible.
Okay.
So why do we do that is that, unless you don't give yourself a year at least in this business, it's very difficult to establish a brand.
Okay.
It's true. Then you're a fly-by-night operator.
Okay. So just, in the event of things eventually coming back, if there is a slot between, let's say, your regular person who has taken it and yours, and there is a period of, let's say, 8 hours, nobody's using the kitchen, could somebody come in and use it as a pop-up where they are going to do it? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We would love for that to happen, because again, for us, it's the more collaborators we have, the better economies for everybody. And we'd be open to that. In fact, we invited we called upon a lot of chefs to come during this COVID period and said that, look, if you want to test your product, if you want to come and run a pop-up for 3 months, do a food festival. Happy to help you there. Come and do it.
Wonderful.
It was probably, it was because of probably lockdown, we didn't get much, traction, but people were interested and they had the conversations. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar. That was really a lot of food for thought. Let's put it like that. I think this is an avenue that should be open and should be very seriously considered. Like you also mentioned earlier, we needed a lot of resources to just think of starting up a restaurant. Today, you are giving the option of maybe having a pop-up, maybe coming and trying the option out, even if it's for a period of 3 months, exploring that opportunity, seeing whether it works for you, and growing from there, literally evolving. So just a few closing thoughts for our students. Kumar, please.
I may not be rightly placed, but I'll give them what I want to say. From the time I came out of college, days have changed completely. And I learned late in my life that I needed an MBA. So I did an MBA at 40. And, I was not very tech savvy. So I did not do any technology course, but over the course of time, I learned different aspects of technology. I may not be able to code, but I understand completely how codes work and how analytics work. So my advice to the students today is that, your foundation is hotel management, but technology is going to be a skill set. And that is what you should not miss out. Whatever you choose, add technology to your portfolio. Another important piece I would want to say is that wherever I have been today, it's all because of a lot of research I've done. And that's a critical piece to success for an employee or an entrepreneur. It's a life. You must research a lot. And today we have lots of tools available. Internet, Google is the best tool for you to experience and do your research. So must research, I would say to the students. Fourth most important thing I would want to say is that expand your horizons beyond what you're reading in your books. Okay, there are interesting organizations like Food Inspiration, World Resource Institute, Culinary Institute of America. They are working on different aspects and future of our food. So 2030 to 2050 will be the most interesting and emerging times for food business, because food for future will become more important. Water sustainability will become more important after 2030. So students don't miss out on these subjects. That's my recommendation to you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is great advice. And I'm sure our students have heard you, and we're going to take this forward. Thank you very much, Kumar. You brought a lot of passion to Cloud Kitchen. You brought a very different level to our webinar today. We've gone into right from data to analyzing to evolving to understanding where it started and to where it will grow and what opportunities lie within there for us. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Happy to see you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chef. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar. And I wish you all the best. I absolutely admire your grit and determination. Having had a business for many years, I don't know what I would have done if in the third month things shut down, but you have not only, plowed yourself through it, you have surpassed it and prevailed. And I can only imagine how successful you're going to get in the future. I wish you all the best. To all the students, I hope you are reminded, technology, research, expand your horizons and get ready for that glorious renaissance that's coming to you in 2030 to 2050. If you're not ready, literally you might be caught in the wind and you will have lost this entire trajectory of a cloud kitchen. I want to thank you very much. I want to thank Meher for making this happen, to leading the students into this direction and making them aware of this new and expanding horizon in our industry. I want to thank Mr. Satish Arora for attending it, Chef. It's always a pleasure to see you. To our entire webinar team, who's the back end, Chef Melroy, who's become from our chef, talk about multitasking. He used to be the chef that we would, wait for all these glorious creations and his wonderful plating. Now it has turned to IT. So thank you for being there with the students, Justin and Rahul, and to the rest of the webinar team, Andre sir, Roma ma'am, Susan ma'am, and Prasad chef. Thank you very much, students. I hope you are listening. I hope you're absorbing and you're going to apply it all. Thank you very much. And from all of us at Don Bosco, we are so grateful. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Thank you very much.
Can I just quickly say a word to
yes,
Kumar?
Chef, please.
Kumar, I'm really a fan of you. I first heard you on Satyan's webinar, and now I heard you in great detail. I just want to tell you that the moment I come back from London, where I'm stuck due to COVID, I will definitely would like to do a food festival with you.
Absolutely, Chef. It will be our pleasure to have you at the kitchen.
It will be my honor, and I know Cloud Kitchen is a future. God bless you.
Thank you,
Our
Chef.
students will be there to help you, Chef.
And
Thank
me
you,
as well.
that's
And
great.
me as well. And I'm
That's
sure
great.
the rest of the staff also in Don Bosco must be saying the same thing. It'll be our honor, Chef Satish, to collaborate with you and do a food festival. This would be super good for us.
Thank you. God bless you, Meher.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Kumar.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Stay well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.